Thank you, everybody. Thank you. First thing we should say, welcome back. Here we are, live and in the flesh. So great to see all those smiling faces out there, out of our tracky dacks and into our best day clothes. I should point out why other conferences, people dressed at least to the 9s, we dress to the 10s and 11s and 12s minimum. Big congrats for all of us. Nathan? We're having to work with the technology tonight. Or not.
It's a new normal. I click the button. It's not doing anything.
I'll talk while that happens, see if you can get that up and working again. So a lot of people have asked us, what's this crazy thing around the Aurealis? What's it? Is that a concrete Ned Kelly helmet? Is that a strange kind of bucket that doesn't hold water? Is it what? Is it the Liberal Party's latest policy platform? For those who are not Canberrans, it's one of our bus stops. And people have bought old ones and installed them in their back gardens and made them into very nice looking things, which I'll explain in a minute when our presentation starts working.
That's the fun thing of killing it, starting it again.
Yep, you're going to go through that. Okay. So I'm going to fill in the time before we start with a quick joke, as you know. I'll explain a few things as the night goes on, because we're here to celebrate winners. We're here to celebrate writing. We're here to celebrate all of those. So I want to point out to everybody here tonight who's on the short list, who doesn't get to come up and win an award, don't worry. In the Hello Sailor hat, you can get to come up and get your own winner's medallion. So tonight, everybody nominated is going to be a winner. Oh, there we go. One more click. You can see I'm clicking on it. Now, one more. Yes. There goes the bus, so that you know it's a bus stop. Okay, that's fine. I'd like to start with a welcome to country, first by saying Yuma. For those who are unfamiliar with Canberra, Yuma is Ngunnawal for hello. And I think since we all love language so much, it behoves us all to learn a few words of our local Indigenous languages. And a welcome to country in Ngunnawal. Darawa Nuna, Darawa Ngunnawal, Yango Nyalawiri, Duna Manyan, Nangawawari, Darurwari, Nyaning Ada, Dindi Dawuro, Nangawal Bun, Indi Jumara Lindijin Inyin. And translated, that means, Nathan?
Does he have a live transcript going?
He used to work for SBS, you can tell. So yes, hello, this is Ngunnawal country. Today we're gathering on Ngunnawal country. We will always pay respect to elders, male and female, in Ngunnawal country. So I want to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people, traditional custodians of the lands where we've gathered today, wish to acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of Canberra and the region, and also acknowledge any other First Nations peoples who are here this evening. I'm going to point out you're all being recorded this evening and we're being live streamed. Now, does that mean an AO standing or just like an MA 15 plus will probably be quite sufficient? Unless Alan Baxter's, when he gets up. Okay. So, as I said, we're here to celebrate winners. So let's pause for a moment and consider who the winners actually are. Sure, there'll be those who win an award and come up here and get a nice glassy thing that you won't be able to take on an aeroplane for fear of killing somebody. There'll be those who get their silver medal from at the hat. But you're also a winner just if you were shortlisted by your peers. That in itself is an almighty accomplishment. You're also a winner if you completed a work to the point you're able to enter it in these awards. That is also quite an amazing accomplishment. As is being able to write in this crazy, fucked up world we live into. That's an MA 15 plus expression. You're a winner if you've been able to wake up each day and continue to write amongst the burden of employment and family troubles and personal struggles. You're a winner if you can find words in the face of global uncertainty and war and climate change and shithead politics. You're a winner if you're able to face down personal doubts and rejections and continue to write. You're a winner if you can put aside the notion that another person's writing trajectory should be yours and accept your own trajectory. Envying no one, all right, envying very few, and celebrating everyone. You're a winner if you've been able to capture something as complex and difficult as fragments of life in words that another person can read and relate to, and transport a reader into that world you've created in your head. And any of you who can say you've done any of that in any small way, you're all winners. And on that theme, let's kick off the first winning for the night. If you all look under your seats, I think you'll find your shoes. Congratulations. So before we get our first guest speaker up for the evening, I'd like to spend a moment and talk about this arcane craft of ours, writing. I want to quote Australian poet Dorothy Green. She described writing as, who in their senses, especially in a country with a fine climate, would want to take up a profession which demands staying indoors, solitude, long hours, which produce little financial reward after years of work, which in Australia is held in low esteem, makes the backache, and from excessive sitting leads to arthritis in old age. This sounds more like a curse than a profession. And she also said, such an obsession surely borders on a dangerous delusion. Yet we all know, as she well knew, is something we choose to do, something we choose to toil at. And we should not take for granted what it is we do. For in 2022, we find we've been creating empires of fantasy and of the future that has become our present. We've been writing about plagues and wars and social disruption and artificial intelligence left unchecked. We've been writing about evil empires that rise and send their warrior hordes out to battle goodness. And we've been helping people imagine how these might play out and help them adapt to the mind-shattering reality of when that becomes our future, becomes our present. So tonight, let's envy no one and celebrate everyone in the knowledge that we're all happily cursed and are all winners. Oh, and by the way, if I insult anyone and they feel like walking up here and giving me an Oscar Awards worthy slap, just put on the Will Smith mask and form an orderly line over here on the left. Okay, before our first speaker's up, we have David. If you can hit this, just a minute, David. Oh no, the next one, we'll come back to that. We'll go forward. I've got to let you know now, we're doing tonight in rebuses, and we're going to put up challenges. You to jump back one, you might as well, Nathan. I'll explain what we're doing tonight. Yeah, well, okay, we've got David. David said. So I was going to ask all the presenters to come in to give me a one-sentence biog of themselves, but events got overtaken somehow, so I had to go online and look up all the biogs, and you know what that's like. So if you blithely look up David Henley on Google or Bing, you'll find not only is he a respected sci-fi author, publisher, editor, he's also an endocrinologist in West Leaderville with a special interest in adrenal disorders, pituitary disorders, and thyroid disorders. And he's been a foreign correspondent, past president of the Nevada Press Association, a retired brigadier general in the National Guard, a former university administrator and journalism professor, and yes, there's more. He's also been serving as the honorary consul of Uruguay since 1999. What a guy. David, come on down. Now, every presenter who comes up this evening is going to take a famous quote of writing from Dr. Seuss's Cat in the Hat and read it out for the edification of everybody here.
I'm a writer. If I seem cold, it's because I am surrounded by drafts. All right, recognize me, iPad, excellent. Thanks everyone for coming tonight. It is fantastic that we can all be together like this again. It really is about time that SpecFic had its own super spreader event. So if you could just cough to your left, cough to your right. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a publisher with Brio Books. I'm also a published science fiction author and the Uruguay thing. I've been working in publishing for over 20 years now. At 20 years, you stop counting. I've been asked to talk about the ups and downs of my publishing life. And it's nice to know that when they were looking for somebody who met that criteria, they thought of me. There's a guy who's had ups and downs. So where to begin? This is an awful big crowd of group therapy. I guess my first up and down was when I was about 15. Because I was bored in high school, my mother sent me to adult education classes in the evenings, and this was great. I did a bunch of things with real adults on like script writing and storytelling and sound design. I got to pretend to be an adult. But at one point, my teacher gave me some feedback. He said, well, you can write, but you don't have anything to write about. So that was a ton of bricks. And it's one of those lines that has stayed with me. It's a line that haunts me or drives me. I didn't stop writing. I took that on board, and post-high school, I went through a Kerouac phase, Fitzgerald phase, an absurdist period, then Mamet, Hal Hartley, Saul Bellow, so many. I dropped out of uni and just did whatever I could to make money, packing shelves, folding shirts, etc. But then one day, I got a job as a receptionist at Hotter Headline, which was what is now called Hachette. I had my little headset on, answering calls, taking messages, collating photocopying, and the highlight going out into the real world to get the mail. But before this job, I'd never thought about where books came from, or how they were made, or how they got into readers' hands. It wasn't long until I was invited into the back room, the main office, and over the next few years, my education on that would begin. In the main office, it was open plan, of course, except for the managers. There was an accounts department, marketing and sales, a publicity department, and then the publishing department. Each one has their own part to play in developing books, sales materials, reviews, logistics. One thing led to another, and I started to help publicity with their photocopying and then collecting the media mentions, which is something you used to have to do in the paper age, and the occasional special gig from publishing to check an index, which is great. Then there was an abrupt change in management philosophy, and the designers in the company were made redundant, and the work they were doing was outsourced. It was turmoil for the company for a bit, especially when the company that was meant to be doing the work flaked out, and all of a sudden, little old me, about 20 years old, inherited more work than I could handle. In that same period, one of the colleagues who came and went from the company, as you know, publishing is a game of musical chairs, let us call him F, wanted to set up his own little publishing outfit using my services and also asking me to write a book. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is I was also an illustrator or a painter or found object sculptor. It wasn't clear to me or anyone else what I was. Anyway, I had a few exhibitions in artist-run spaces, and one of these exhibitions was a series of ink drawings of real and imagined human evolutions, which I depicted as being for the Museum of Unnatural History, set 200 years in the future. The challenge from F was to expand this concept into the book. It says here it is. That's because it's in my bag over there. There it is over there. The Museum of Unnatural History is actually by Terence Plumbley, which was my nom de plume for this series, designed, written, illustrated, and typeset by me. So I got to learn the entire process of making a book and putting it out. Soon F moved on to bigger and better things while I burnt out and fled to Paris with the love of my life. There I wrote a vampire novel. Inspired by the original I Am Legend by Robert Matheson. I was introducing capitalist forces to the vampire ethos to see how immortals would subjugate the humans to domesticated feed bags. It was fun, vicious, and commercial, and then Twilight happened. So that went into the drawer of forgetting, and vampires have never been the same since. But also while I was there, I wrote a novella inspired by a character in the Museum of Unnatural History. And upon returning to Australia, I made friends with an editor who I thought was brilliant, and I asked him to work on it for me as I was planning to self-publish. But at the time, there was still a lot of stigma attached to self-publishing. So he made contact for me with Steph Smith at Harper Voyager, and she read it and started taking me to coffee. She rejected my concept for 20 interconnected novellas, and instead I had to pitch turning my 20,000 words into a full fat trilogy. So here I hesitated, trying to decide if I should just self-publish with my grand plan or accept the challenge that Steph had put to me. And I received some advice from an unusual source, the then CEO of what was now Hachette, a man I'd been working for nearly 10 years and had maybe only spoken to twice. He said something like, "You're in your mid-30s now. After 40, your body starts declining. If you don't start doing what you want to do now, you may not get the chance." So I love the grim advice one gets through life. But it did spur me to accept the challenge and churn out 60,000 words as quick as I can. It was lovely. It was a very creative and social period bringing out the trilogy. It was lovely to make so many friends doing the rounds of conventions and festivals. None of you here. It was hard to balance that with a full-time job, but still it was a high point of life. How did the books do? Let's just say not well enough. I got amazing reviews, and that was nice. And I can dig them up anytime I like to have a look at and feel better. I've just known none of them got an Aurealis nomination, so I guess that, which makes it really nice to be here tonight. Sometimes I look back and I wonder what more I could have done to make my books more successful. Did I work hard enough for it? I bet we all ask us that. And then we look at Alan Baxter and we go, yeah, no, I probably didn't work that hard. Baxy, congrats on the Love, Death and Robots thing. Well done. We'll claim that as a group, okay? So back to my publishing hat. It was around the same time of my books coming out that our little design business evolved into a publisher in its own right, determined to support and nurture local talent. Over the next few years as a small publisher, I learned that once you've paid for printing, distribution, publicity, other unexpected costs, and then royalties, there is very little money to pay salaries. Making profitable books is really hard and is becoming harder for publishers and for authors. While the internet is a great thing, it's brought us great new tools for self-promotion, it's also increased competition. Software has made it so easy to make books for ourselves. Anyone can make a book, which is fantastic for society. Except now there's like 250,000 books put out each year, and it's impossible to predict why some books go viral. Speaking of viral, when the pandemic came and bookshops across the country closed their doors, all our new books were stuck. They were trapped. Our life savings were invested in that 2020 publishing program, and it was going to be lights out. We thought it was over. We really did. But then Booktopia came to our rescue and took us under their wing. It's been nearly 1 year since then, and we've published some great books and have some more on the way, including, you'll be pleased to know, some spec fic. Everyone has ups and downs in life. It's one thing we all share. It's natural to have highs and lows, but we writers really set ourselves up for it. Writing, as you said, Craig, is an act of creation. Finishing a book is like completing a marathon. It's a huge achievement, and we can never forget that. But when you finish a book and put it out into the world, you're on a high that's been building up for years. And after every high comes a low. It is inevitable. So the way I get over the post-publication blues is first to count my blessings. Primarily, I have a wife that is smarter than me and a little boy who soon will be. And though my journey in publishing has been rough at times, I've learned a lot and I'm still here. I love making books. I'm good at it. It's a privilege to midwife someone else's book into the world and share that connection with an author forever. And there's a part of me that enjoys helping others as much as I do writing my own books. And then there is you lot. I've had the good fortune of working with some of you or just crossing paths on our writing journeys. And really the friends and communities we make help us reach our highs and support us in our lows. So for all that, I'll keep going, I'll keep making books, and I'll keep writing. And I hope you all do too. So now let's all have a good night. Congratulations to all the winners, and to the non-winners tonight, at least you bloody got nominated.
Muchas gracias por eso, ¿no? As they say in Uruguay. Okay. Now, as I explained before, we're going to do the award categories in rebuses. So to help explain this one, it says Best Young or Child Ren Flick Fiction. Best Child Ren Fiction. Okay? The captions are going to disappear later in the night, but you'll figure it out, I'm sure, because you're such clever people. So, next one. Could we ask Jenny Brooklar to come up? Next. Thank you. There she is. Now, again, I had to Google Jenny to find out more about her. Despite having a drink with her last night, I forgot to ask the important questions. But I discovered Jenny's the owner-operator of a hotel in Wonderus in the Netherlands. She's been active in hotel management for over 30 years.
When do I open this after? Okay. Okay. So, hi everyone, it's great to be here. I'm proud to be presenting the best children's book. I just want to say that no matter how many books we read or write, our first engagement with story, whether it's Alice or Peter or Harry, is, at least in my opinion, the one that we never forget. So congratulations to all. The nominees are The Boy Who Stepped Through Time, Anna Kidder, Stellarphant, James Foley, Dragonskin, Karen Foxley, The Curiosities, Zane Freylon and Phil Lesney, Elsewhere Girls, Emily Gale and Nova Wheatman, Bear Bum Billy Nicholas Snelling. And the winner is Karen Foxley for Dragon's Den. So I accept on Karen's behalf. And
Thank you so very much. This is yours. Yeah. I'll leave it later in the night. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Now we come to category 2 and see who can tell me what this category is. It could be a drink award, first one to get it. Best graphic novel, ill, you, straight, Ted, work. Give us the text. There we are. Next two. Yeah, there we go. I'd like to invite Maria Lewis to the front. And for those who don't know Maria, Maria is renowned for proving that anything men can do, women can do better, because she actually enlisted in the US Civil War and fought as George Harris.
Tough.
Look it up.
Tough.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Maria Lewis actually did fight in the Civil War. She was a Black woman who fled slavery and freed other slaves. Anyway, pretty awesome person to share a namesake with.
Hang on. Oh, I haven't done your word.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
The first one. So.
Feel a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Unless a reviewer has the courage to give you unqualified praise, I say ignore the bastard. John Steinbeck. Do you want that one? All right. Before I read these nominees, I know it's a bit wanky to say, but genuinely, every person who's nominated in this category, it is a huge honor, and you should consider that as a massive win, regardless of if you leave with a glass murder weapon or not. All right. So the nominees for Best Graphic Novel / Illustrated Work are The Curiosities by Zana Frelian and Paul Lesney, Treasure in the Lake, Jason Pammett, Mechanics, Ben Slavic and Eduardo Natalini, Killaroo, Semper Feldilis, Matthew Saul and Ignacio de Meleglio. And the winner is The Curiosities, Zana Frelian and Paul Lesney. I love your outfit. Go for it. Oh,
shit.
there we go.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm nervous. Okay. So Zana, the author, has told me that every time she writes an acceptance speech, she doesn't win shit. She curses so much, you guys. She did, however, ask me to mention how much she loves the Aurealis Awards. And urged me to thank everyone she needs to thank, and so I've done my best to honor her wishes. I, Zana Frelian, would like to thank my illustrator, collaborator, and new best friend, Phil Lesney. Working with them over the many, some might say, how did it take this many years that it took to draw this book, has been an experience so spiritually fulfilling it borders on the erotic. So anyway, so that's Zana Frelian's list of acknowledgements. I just, while we're talking, I'd like to very quickly take the opportunity to thank the many mothers that this book has had along the way. Are we doing okay? How long did this go for? All right, you just like, yeah.
Feel it.
Okay. Jean-Marie Morrison, Emma Rafferty, and the incredible team at Hachette. They're literally geniuses. And a very special thanks and immeasurable credit is due to Suzanne O'Sullivan, an editor and human simply without peer. Thank you to Rona Lesney, my mum, my indefatigable mum, who has really cooled it lately with asking how I expect to make any money with this. And every day I'm grateful to my partners, Jen Jackson and Marianne Ramsey. One of the roles of Australian speculative fiction is to cultivate visions of the weird and different futures we might one day live in. And if I have any imagination at all in this area, it's because I met them. They are a vision of a weird and different future, and I simply can't fathom the luck and grace by which I get to live in it with them. Finally, I gotta say, it does feel very rude that Zana Freyland was so busy being obsessed with me that she failed to mention and thank Manny, her own daughter. And the inspiration for this very book, I haven't met Manny yet, but it is very clear to anybody looking that she is wonderful, exceptional, and as Bright Eyes memorably put it, better than good. Thanks, nerds.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much. Our next category is, who can tell me? Best young adult short story. Yes, best young adult short story. So we could have Alison Goodman, please. Now, having checked out Alison's CV, Alison is the Deputy Chief Executive at Noah's Ark Children's Hospice in the UK. What a gal. You do.
I do. I want to do one of these.
Yeah.
Thank you. If Moses were alive today, he'd come down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments and spend the next 5 years trying to get them published. So it's my immense pleasure to announce the Best Young Adult Short Story winner. And the nominees are The Woods Echo Back, Tanya Ford Walker. Don't Look, Lisa Fuller. Of Slaves and Lions, Pamela Jeffs. Slaughterhouse Boys by Emma Osborne. Waybread Rising, Tansy Rayner Roberts. And Hunger, Mariana Sheck. And the winner is Don't Look by Lisa Fuller.
I'm not Lisa. Thank you. I'm not Lisa. Unfortunately, Lisa couldn't be with us, but she did send a speech, which was very good of her. So I'm presenting on her behalf. So thank you very much. With all the talent on the shortlist, I have no hope this thank you speech will be needed. But just in case. Thank you to all the judges of the Aurealis Awards. Given my anxieties around writing short stories, I can't tell you what this means to me. I'm now even more upset that I can't be there tonight. I need to thank Poppy Nwosu and everyone at Wakefield Press for the opportunity to be a part of such an amazing anthology and for their help navigating said anxieties. A huge congratulations to all the authors in Hometown Haunts. Your work inspires me in their diversity. Thank you also to my beta readers and family, Odette Fuller, Kim Johnson, and my ever patient partner, Ben County. Couldn't do it without you guys.
Thank you, Alison and Tahani / Lisa. Our next category is category 4, which is Best Ho Raw Short Story. Yes, Best Ho Raw Short Story. And for this, we need the enigmatic man of mystery, Dan O'Malley. For those who don't know Dan O'Malley, Dan is the host of the Treehouse, a radio station KZPS and KVIL and the Texas Ranger Radio Network. His hobbies include being a barfly.
Okay. Asking a working writer what he thinks about critics is like asking a lamppost how it feels about dogs. Christopher Hampton. Well said, Mr. Hampton. It's a tremendous honor to, list the nominees, etc. No, for the best horror short story. The first is Don't Look by Lisa Fuller, Traces of Us, Hot Enough for Dinner by Effie Gale, The House That Hungers by Maria Lewis, The Quiet Room by Martin Livings, Sins of the Mother by Tracy McBride, and Mother Dandelion by Antoinette Ryder. And the winner is Don't Look by Lisa Fuller. Are you going to give the same speech?
You bet I am. Hi, still not Lisa. Hi. She's going to be real mad now. I'm not going to say the same speech again. She only gave me one. But I am going to say thank you again to my publisher and to Poppy, and not my publisher, obviously. I'm Lisa. Pretend I'm Lisa. And to the judges of the category, because that's amazing. Thank you.
Oh, that'll be $8.
Okay, now Dan doesn't get to get away because our next category is. You can tell me? Best horror novella. That's it. Presented by Dan O'Malley.
I can't believe they went with a hoe and not a whore. But they did. No, it's a tremendous honor again to list the nominees for Best Horror Novella. We have When the Cicadas Stop Singing by Zachary Ashford, The Band Plays On by Alan Baxter, Hell's Teeth from Matthew R. Davis, Cryptid Killers from Alistair Hodge, and All the Long Way Down by Alf Simpson. And the winner is... And the winner is All the Long Way Down by Alf Simpson. It's an honor to accept this on behalf of him. Do I get to keep it, or? Yeah, it's less of an honor.
Nice try, Dan. Thank you very much, Dan. Thanks. Our next category is Best Fantasy Short Story. Yes. And it's presented by the lovely Kim Wilkins. Reach into the hat of wisdom.
The hat of wisdom. I just have to put on the eyeglasses of age. Hat of wisdom. An autobiography usually reveals nothing bad about its writer except his memory or her memory. And in fact, an autobiography is a fabulous way to tax deduct your entire life. I'm very pleased to be announcing the shortlisted authors for Best Fantasy Short Story. They are Jane Brown for Who Wants to Be a Reaper, E.J. Delaney for So-Called Bin Chicken, Laura J. Fitz-Wilson for All My Tuesdays, Ike Flintheart for Old Souls, Tanya Ford Walker for The Woods Echo Back, Alexander Gibbs for Frabjous. And the winner goes to So-Called Bin Chicken by E.J. Delaney. I'm very happy to accept this on the Bin Chicken's behalf. Thank you. Do I do another one? I'm doing another one. Great. Do I do another quote?
Oh, you'll get another one of these first.
Oh,
You should
okay.
get another quote. No, stay.
Thank you.
Our next category is
Oh, yeah, that's your rebus.
Yeah. Best Fantasy Novella. And it's been presented by the lovely Kim. There she is. Like that.
Not really.
Oh, and a word
Oh, and another word of wisdom.
Dig deep into the wisdom hat.
A short one. Good-o. This isn't a writing quote, this is a riddle.
It'll do.
What do you get when you cross a writer with a deadline? A really clean house. It's funny because it's true. Alrighty, now I am going to read out the list of nominees for shortlisted nominees for Best Fantasy Novella. Alan Baxter for Mother in Bloom, Rebecca Fraser for The Little One, Amy Lawrence for Bones of the Sea, Tansy Rayner Roberts for Echo and Narcissus, and Susan J. Willis for The Scarab Children of Montague. And the prize goes to Amy Lawrence for Bones of the Sea.
You're going to be sick of me. Hi, everybody. I am not Amy either. So Amy did send me a speech, though. So Amy says, oh, wow, thank you very much. This means so much to me, especially knowing the high caliber of the other finalists in my category. I'm sorry I couldn't be here tonight because of family obligations, but I would like to say this book means a lot to me. It comes from the heart and taught me a lot about writing and myself. Of course, no book enters the world without the efforts of one person alone. So I'd also like to thank my husband and wonderful family who support me, my editor, my co-conspirator Liana, and my readers, particularly those brave enough to back this book on Kickstarter before it was finished. Finally, thank you to the Aurealis Awards committee for their continued efforts in recognising the best that Australia has to offer in the speculative fiction arena. And to everyone, when the bones of life's stormy seas are seeking to devour you, may you always have someone to guide you on your way.
Thank you, thank you. Our next category is, who can tell it? Best Science Fiction Short Story. Yes. Presented by Alan Baxter. Alan, come on down. If you care to Google Alan, you'll find he's a specialist in Creole languages working at the University of Macau. Who knew?
I've got too much to go, too much going on. Since I've become a full-time freelancer, I've made quite a few sales. My car, my house, my clothes. Science fiction. We're in an age, aren't we, at the moment? Things like The Handmaid's Tale was science fiction. Everyone's like, it was a fucking warning, not a guidebook. Don't. Science fiction short story. The nominees are He Leaps for the Stars, He Leaps for the Stars by Grace Chan. For Autumn, Melissa Ferguson. Honey and a Hangin' by Aki Flinthart. The Reunion, Emily Fox. Relic, Noun, A Widow, A Thing Remaining from the Past, Alison Goodman. And Legacy of the Species by Pamela Jeffs. And the winner is Relic, Alison Goodman.
Humble words or expletives.
Aki Flinthart commissioned this story. 6 weeks she gave me. The fastest short story I've ever written in my life, but I wanted to write it for her. She and I edited it together, and I never met her in person, which was, I know, my loss. And her passing was a profound loss for the community. Thank you so much for this. Thank you, Aki, for asking me to do this story. And thank you to the judges and to the Aurealis Awards. Thank you.
I believe Alan stays with us because the next category is Best Science Fiction Novella and presented by
Get out. Do I do another one of those?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, what's wrong with these people? Ooh. I'm chucking the nominees on the floor. What type of blood does a proofreader have? Typo. Come on, you should have got that. My God. All right, best science fiction novella. We have the nominees: Access Denied by Baden Chun, The Cruise to the End of the World by Craig McCormick, The Birdsong Fossil by D.K. Mock, Problem Landing, Sean Monaghan, Preserved in Amber by Samantha Murray, and A Vast Silence by T.R. Napa. And the winner is Preserved in Amber, Samantha Murray.
I am Samantha Murray. And this is a speech I was not expecting to give by Sam Murray, about 180 words. So this story started in China. I was unbelievably fortunate to be invited by the Future Affairs Administration to visit the Danjai Wonder Village, which was a poverty alleviation project in Danjai, China, and to write a story. So Danjai Village was a really surreal place. It is very, very new, but at the same time, it was constructed to feel old and traditional and full of ceremony and culture. But a lot of it was also directed outwards at the tourists that were coming to see it. So it felt strangely frozen. And that's what inspired my story, Preserved in Amber, which is published in Chinese first as Life Preserved in Amber. So I'd like to thank everyone at Future Affairs Administration, especially Vera Sun and Leary Lee, who also took over the translation. And thanks to Neil Clark for publishing the English version of the story in Clark's World. This story was a much longer one than I usually write, which was a challenge for me at times. A huge thank you to my family who put up with me ranting and gnashing of teeth as I tried to write a long story to a deadline. Thank you to the Aurealis committee and judges, and to my fellow finalists and their very fine stories. And thank you to Christy for being my great beta reader and helping me write my speech, which may have just been at the last minute.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Sam. I was sitting across the bar from Sam last night. She was saying, oh, everyone else is going to win. I'm going to win. And I was like, okay, our next category is... Yes, it is. You want to share that with the whole room, Sean?
I just said I'm on this ballot.
Yeah. Best coal election. And for this, we'd like to invite Karen Warren down to the front. Now, for those who don't know the lovely demure Karen, she's a feminist philosopher and pioneer in ecofeminism and a former lecturer at Macalester University in Somewheresville, USA.
Until I change the spelling of my name. Oh, okay. When Thoreau wrote, simplify, 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 shouldn't he have edited it down to simplify? By Cranky Pappy. All right, now I love a short story collection. It's a way to keep track of where that author is at. It's a way to catch up on the stories that I haven't read yet, and it's also a glimpse into that writer's dark soul. So here are the great writers on this year's shortlist. The Gulp, Alan Baxter. Danged Black Thing, Eugene Bacon. The Terrorlight Collection, Pamela Jeffs. The Tallow Wife and Other Tales, Angela Slater, sorry, I even checked to make sure I got the right pronunciation. Little Labyrinths, Collected Microfictions, Sean Williams. The winner is the gold Alan Baxter.
Thank you. You realise what this means? I'm going to talk again. If I had lost this, I would have been the joint most nominated Aurealis Awards author without a win. But Michael Pryor gets to keep that honour. Fuck. I mean, gosh. Sorry. Oh, that's awesome. I've been after one of these for more than a decade. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. This is where we normally thank everyone involved. I self-published this, so thanks, me. But I couldn't have done it without the career that I've had and the publishers I've worked with and the amazing writers I've worked with. I especially want to thank a very good friend of mine who's right over there, Jo Anderson. She's awesome, and she really, yeah, really give it up. She's brilliant. She's been a stalwart beta reader for me for a long time, and she really helped me knock this collection into great shape. It's a far better collection now because of the help I got from you. Thank you, Jo. And I also really want to thank my family, my wife and my crazy child, who put up with me doing this mental job. And I couldn't do it without their support. I don't know if they're watching, if they're on Facebook, if they're on live. If you are, thank you. If you're not, why aren't you watching? I just want a fucking award. And to the Aurealis and everyone involved, you're awesome. It is so good that we celebrate and we party like this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you both very much. The next category is, now Alan might be able to give us a hand with this, being an old pom. Alan, who's the first picture? Yes, I can't get Georgie best anthology. Best anthology. And this is presented by Cat Sparks. We clearly didn't need to doctor code for Cat. If you Google Cat Sparks, you'll find there is no other else in the universe except one Cat Sparks.
That's not true. That's not true. There's another. There is another, as Yoda said. She's a photographer. Oh. No, it's not just me. I've checked. I've double checked. When I was a little boy, they called me a liar, but now that I'm grown up, they call me a writer. Isaac Bashevis Singer. Whatever. I do love this category. Oh yeah, thanks, Johnny. Oh yeah, it's on the envelope. Yeah. So best anthology, we have Who Sleuthed It, edited by Lindy Cameron. Relics, Wrecks and Ruins, edited by Aki Flintheart and assisted by Lauren Elise Daniels and Genevieve Flynn. Hometown Haunts, edited by Poppy Nwosu. And Spawn, Weird Horror Tales About Pregnancy, Birth and Babies, edited by Deborah Sheldon. And I already know who's won this. I am so very pleased to announce that the winner is Relics, Wrecks and Ruins by Aki Flintheart. Look, there's nothing to be said. Oh, it's all to be said. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased that you are to do this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Pamela Jeffs, and this would have been Ike's very first Aurealis Award. So, and I can assure you right now, she's in Valhalla screaming fucking typical after I'm dead. As many of you know, Ike passed away in early 2021, and it is my profound honour to speak on her behalf tonight. She was one of my greatest friends. Relics, Wrecks and Ruins is an incredible book, and the story of its inception is an interesting one. 3 months before she passed away, Ike sat at my kitchen table and told me how she regretted never having had the chance to create an anthology with the best people that she could find, with the best authors she could find. Sorry. Now that her time was close, she said it wouldn't happen. So I challenged her and I said, why not? And she said, you're right, I better get my ass into gear. Ike reached out to an ambitious list of authors. And when I say ambitious, I'm talking Neil Gaiman kind of ambitious. But then again, Ike was never one to do things by halves. To the credit of the amazing writing community we have, those authors, including Neil Gaiman and Alison Goodman over there too, responded to her call. Because of them, her dream came true, and her last months were not a conversation about dying, but about creating something wonderful, about creating a legacy. This last book of Ike's was released on her last day here on Earth with us. Ike would have wanted to thank every single author personally. In her last days, she spoke to me of how working with you all was a highlight for her and how incredibly proud she was of this book. As a contributor to it myself, her sentiments resonate. So on behalf of Ike and her family, I would like to thank the award conveners and judges for selecting this work. Thank you to the contributors, with extra recognition to those who donated their earnings to support the Flint Hart Writing Residency set up at the Queensland Writers' Centre in Ike's name. Thank you to Laurie J. Ellis and her team at the QWC for making that happen. Thank you also to Daniel Serra for donating the cover illustration for the project. Lauren Elise Daniels and Genevieve Flynn, thank you. Your friendship and editorial support meant the world to Ike. Thanks also goes to Jonathan Strahan, Ellen Datlow and her brother Dirk Flinthart for the invaluable help and support they gave her throughout the process, and to the Springfield Writers Group and her Facebook cheer squad for their enthusiasm. Finally, Ike would want to thank her own family for their love and their support, her husband Darren and her son Jean. If she were here tonight, she would tell them how much they meant to her and how that none of this would have been possible without her. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Lauren couldn't be here tonight, so she's given me a speech to say for you. It was never just about the writing. It was so much more, and I know it's the same for all of us. When Ike was confronted with her mortality, her family, her friends, and her writing community rallied to bolster her resolve and make this work happen. And because of the support, even when faced with a situation where many of us would simply wilt, a force from within Ike gained momentum and was met with profound generosity and enthusiasm. People connected, doors opened around Australia and the world, and Ike was the catalyst. As someone who found herself trotting alongside her, just trying to keep up, I sensed the contours of Ike's message would take time to unfold. And now, standing, well, not here, unfortunately, in Brisbane, with you all tonight, I know it's about more than the birth of an enduring anthology. It's about the array of forces that drive all of our stories, the internal and intimate, the collaborative and global, the forces that illuminate us and draw us closer together and make us more authentic and more courageous in a precious, fleeting world. This is why we write. This is why you write. This is why we're here. Thank you all for your support. Thank you to our fellow nominees, and thank you, Ike, for who I know is standing here with us tonight saying, I knew you were smart enough to get it. And this is my little speech. I'm beyond honored to be up here with, unfortunately, just Pamela tonight, with Lauren and Pamela. I wrote just before we knew that she couldn't come. Thank you both. The friendship and laughs along the way. Ike knew what she was doing when she put us together. Congratulations to all the other nominees. We're so excited to share this category with you. And thank you to all of the readers and reviewers for your support. To have been even a small part of Ike's legacy and to have had the chance to edit some of the biggest voices in fantasy, science fiction and horror has been a tremendous privilege. When Arjun first asked me to work with her on this project, I was thrilled but also terrified. Who was I to edit the likes of Gillette Marilia, Angela Slater, Marion DePiers, and Jack Dan? One thing Arjun showed me was that sometimes you just have to get on and do it. Do it even if you're afraid. Do it even if you're sick. Do it even if you're dying. Because we only get one life. Make it magnificent. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so very much. And in memory of Ike and all she meant to everybody, a short animation.
Yeah, the mouse has disappeared. That's great. There we go.
Wonderful. Someone we will long remember. Thank you. Our next category, there we go, flying off to that well. Best young adult novel. Who's ever been to India? Who's seen a novel? Best young adult novel. And this again is presented by Alison Goodman. Alison, you come up the front, please. And dig deep into the hat of wisdom.
Thank you.
Smurfette.
Thank you. If the English language made any sense, lackadaisical would have something to do with the shortage of flowers. Doug Larson. So it is my honour to read out the nominees for the best young adult novel. Waking Romeo by Catherine Barker. Aurora's End by Amy Kaufman and Jay Christoph. Tertial and Eleanor by Garth Nix. Echo in the Memory, Cameron Nunn. Dirt Circus League by Mari Kimberley. And It's Not You, It's Me, Gabrielle Williams. And the winner is Waking Romeo, Catherine Barker.
I can be weirdly superstitious, so I actually haven't thought of what I might like to say, which seemed fine until now. Let me thank everyone to do with the Aurealis Awards. They hold such a special place in my heart. Obviously, everyone to do with the editing process. I was shepherded and held so kindly by particularly women, my family, my gorgeous husband who's here tonight. For all the writers out there that have struggled, this book almost killed me. It took forever to finish and I got lost in the woods so many times, but actually so many years. And I had so much support, particularly the women that were there at Alan and Unwin, and I am just rambling and everyone else has been so funny. So thank you. I'll see you at the bar later.
Thank you very much. Our next category is, you must know it by now, come on, best horror novel. Thank you very much. This is going to be presented by Robert Hood. For those who don't know, Rob is an internationally renowned DJ operating out of Detroit, who has posted many times that techno is losing its soul. Rob, dig deep into the hat of wisdom.
Oh, it's a long one. Everywhere I go, I'm asked if I think the university stifles writers. My opinion is that they don't stifle enough of them. There's many a bestseller that could have been prevented by a good teacher. Flannery O'Connor. on Kat's advice, I wore this shirt because it seemed appropriate. Best horror novel. The Bridge, J.S. Berkelar, sorry. Midnight in the Chapel of Love. Matthew R. Davis. Papa Lucy and the Bone Man, Jason Fisher. The Airways, Jennifer Mills. Holly and the Nobodies, Ben Piner. Okay.
Sorry, too quick. Just saw.
Who was that that did it? The Aurealis Awards 2021 Best Horror Novel. Holly and the Nobodies. Congratulations.
Sorry.
This is kind of surreal. I think when you've been writing for a while, you kind of get so used to rejections that you forget there's other responses that can come about. I was a little confused when I got the acceptance from Hellbound Books. I was kind of like, do they not know how this works? Like, I send the book, you send me the rejection, we go our separate ways, you know, and now I'm here accepting an award. So I'm starting to wonder if I know how this stuff actually works at all. I guess I should thank a couple of people, probably my first readers, my brother Jay and my dad, were the first people to read this book. They were very honest, which is a nice way of saying that they weren't afraid to tell me all the ways it sucked, which I'm very grateful for. It's a very important quality in a first reader. Thanks to Hellbound Books for taking a chance on a new author, and thanks to Aurealis. It's a big honor. So yeah, cheers everyone.
So Ben's touched on a very important thing. Anyone who wins tonight, make sure to take a photograph holding it close to the camera so it looks enormous and send it off to every publisher who's rejected you previously. Our next category. Yes. Best Fantasy Novelle, presented by Garth Nix. And for those who aren't aware, Garth Nix, aka Garth Knox, is also a violinist from Dublin who specialises in contemporary classical music. Garth, dig
Thank
deep
you.
into the hat of knowledge.
Oh, it's the label.
Made in
Here we go. Did you hear the one about the pregnant woman who went into labour and began to yell, couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't, didn't, can't? She was having contractions. Thanks for that material, Craig. Nothing but the best. It's an honour to read out the nominees for Best Fantasy Novel, and I congratulate all of them. There's so many great works of fantasy and science fiction being written by Australians, and they're going all over the world, and it's great to see. The nominees for Best Fantasy Novel: Super Mums, And So It Begins, Meg Grace; The Rose Daughter, Maria Lewis; A Marvellous Light, Freya Marsk; Dark Rise, C.S. Picat; She Who Became the Sun, Shelley Parker Chan; All the Murmuring Bones, Angela Slater. The winner of Best Fantasy Novel is Dark Rise by C.S. Picat. I'm accepting it on behalf of C.S. Picat. You don't have a speech? No. Congratulations, C.S. Picat.
Thank you. Now we're moving towards the home stretch. For all those wondering when we're going to get to the bar, we will get there. We'll get there. Our next category is yes, best science fiction novel, presented by Lord Sean Williams. For those who aren't aware, when you Google, Sean Williams is a middle-ranked member of the Zimbabwean national cricket team. Thank you.
Oh, this is an oldie, but a goodie. How do you make a small fortune in publishing? First, you start with a large fortune. Which brings me to something that I wanted to say. So this was very appropriate. Congratulations to all the nominees and the winners, of course, but also congratulations to the publishers who are being named on screen, but not by us. Fantastic work picking such amazing novels and stories and novellas. Good on you guys. Thank you very much. I shouldn't have looked behind me. The nominees for Best Science Fiction Novel 2022 are Waking Romeo by Catherine Barker, The 22 Murders of Madison May, Max Barry, Rebecca Bowyer's Stealing Time, Jason Fisher's Papa Lucy and the Bone Man, Amy Kaufman and Jay Christoph's Aurora's End, and Claire McKenna's Deepwater King. And the winner is Waking Romeo by Catherine Barker.
Anna McFarlane, Nicholas Santilli. I forgot to name them. I'm so grateful that I have a chance to do that now because this wouldn't be here without them. I have very little else to say. Look, I am so grateful to the Aurealis Awards. Like, it means so much. And I know that most of the people here are writers, and sometimes you just have this crisis of confidence and wonder whether you know what you're doing and if you can do it again, and you're just lost in self-doubt. And I felt that a little bit lately after lockdown, and this means so much to me. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, our next category is let's put the words on. That's, I Googled it, it's A, Sarah. Oh, Sia, Reese, Wards. Thank you. Presented by David Henley. We got a David Fisher. Yes.
Words of wisdom. Are you taking this back tomorrow? It's got the label on it. A synonym is a word you use when you can't spell the other one. By Baltasar Gracian. Okay. Sarah Douglas Book Series Award. Man, it's so bitter to be up here right now. First, Lifespan of Starlight by Talia Kalkatsakis. Elementals by Amy Kaufman. Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. Lifelike by Jade Christoph. Winter by Mark Smith. Blood and Gold by Kim Wilkins. The winner is... Oh no, if I too slow. Blood and Gold, Kim Wilkins.
Wow. Do I have to read something? No?
Give a speech.
I have to give a speech. Yeah, I didn't actually bring one. I just brought a quote because I thought I'd say, I'd first accept the award in language Bluebell would use. For those of you who haven't read my book, this won't make any sense to you. Actually, it won't make any sense to any of you because it's in Old English. Tha Komingan, Dad Kanamon, Doma Yawarthad. That's what she would have said. That meant there came marching in the D-bold person, reveling in her glory. Okay. This is, I haven't prepared a speech because I'm also a little bit superstitious about such things. I started, so this year is the 25th anniversary of my first publication, which also won a couple of Aurealis Awards. And the Aurealis Awards have been part of the landscape of my career for 25 years. And so it means an immense amount to me. This prize means an immense amount to me. I first started thinking about this series about 15 years ago. I remember because I was on holiday in Tasmania and my daughter was still a baby and she's now a 15-year-old with all her own weird ideas that I have to put up with. And I just remember sitting on the patio of this place we were staying in the Huon Valley, and just this feeling coming over me. And for me, that's how I always know I'm going to write a story. It's kind of like, you know how you can feel Christmas, or you can feel, other things that aren't really there. You can feel them coming, and I could feel it coming. And I started with the novella which Jack Dan gave me the opportunity to write in the Legends of Australian Fantasy anthology. And then I started working on the first novel, which I originally, they all had much better names. But anyway, I wrote 3 novels over however long it took me. And in the meantime, I had to, make money by writing Kimberly Freeman novels, which is my pseudonym if you do not know. And the reason I had to do that was because I keep marrying handsome young ne'er-do-wells. Next time I'm marrying the rich guy at the old folks home. And also I was climbing the greasy pole of academia and becoming a professor. And so these 3 books, which I felt very deeply, and the characters I was very, very connected to. I mean, Bluebell's like the big sister I never had. These 3 books have sort of walked alongside me at this incredible, in this incredible period of my life. The people I have to thank for that are probably too numerous to remember. I will have a special shout out to Stephanie Smith, who encouraged me, even though she was no longer at HarperCollins by the time I finished the first book. Selwa Anthony, my literary agent, Joe Mackay at HQ, which eventually became went back into HarperCollins, and so it was back with HarperCollins again anyway. The name of the editor who bought it in the United States, who I can't remember, who's quite famous, so that's embarrassing. Oh my God, what's her name?
It's all right, we're only live streaming.
No, oh no. She's like George R.R. Martin's editor. Google it. Someone, yeah, just Google it. No, it starts with A or E. Anyway. It's Anne Grohl. Thank you very much, Carl. Thank you to my Beowulf reading group. One of the things I did while I was writing this book was I read Beowulf, which is where the quote's from, in Old English from start to finish. We did a live translation over about 18 months, which was amazing, probably the intellectual achievement of my life, though it's not on my academic portfolio. So thank you to the members of that group, especially the old fellow who'd already done this in the 60s and brought along his notebooks. Whose name I've also forgotten because menopause, but I think I should probably stop. Thank you to my friend Sean Williams sitting in the front row with me tonight for being my buddy for so long. I found a picture of us 20 years ago at an Aurealis Awards this afternoon. You can come up and ask me to show it to you if you like, but God damn, it's good to have journey friends, fellow travelers along the way. Mwah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next category is, we're going straight to this one because I know Colin's got to run away almost straight away. Yes, and one more. Yes. We don't know how long that took to make. Colin is actually an emeritus fellow. He's the only one who did send me his bio. He's an emeritus fellow at the ANU, has been convener at the ANU Meet the Author event since 1986. He's reviewed science fiction and fantasy for the Canberra Times and Bruce Gillespie's SF commentary since 1979, and he's a Canberra institution. Let's not forget that.
I think there's only a half tag.
Okay, a few down the bottom.
If writers were good businessmen, they'd have too much sense to be writers. No, I'm doing the Convener's Award for Excellence. Yep. And there seems to be only one nominee. Sorry?
We don't announce the shortlist.
Straight to winners.
Oh, straight to winners. Okay, right, yeah, that's fine. It's Dangerous Visions and New Worlds, Radical Science Fiction, 1950 to 1985. By Andrew Nett and Ian McIntyre.
So this morning I emailed Andrew and said, would you like to send me some things just in case you win? He's like, oh, I mean, do you really think that's necessary? I'm really glad I did. So I am not Andrew Nettie, I'm Pat Clay. I'm one of the contributors to this very fine book, which has also been nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Related Work. So I'm very proud to be part of this amazing work on radical science fiction. I have got up the wrong email. Give me 1 second. So here's what he says. In the event that we get a gong tonight, here are some things to say accepting on my behalf. Ian McIntyre and I want to thank the Aurealis conveners for this award. It is really great honour to be recognised on home turf. In the current global supply chain chaos, amongst other factors, has meant that despite the fact that Dangerous Visions and New Worlds, Radical Science Fiction, 1950 to 1985, has been out in the US since mid-November and in the UK just after Christmas. Our distributor has only just managed to get copies to Australia. I have some copies at home if you want me to send you one, you know. So hopefully you will be able to find it in your bookstore. Otherwise, Ian and I have some copies remaining and people are welcome to contact him via his Twitter account @PaulCurry if they would like to arrange a copy. And you can't see it here, but this is a beautiful book. It's got all the art from the 1960s kind of work, 1970s work. It's fantastic. Ian and I would also like to thank the following people. Firstly, Ramsey Keenan, publisher at PM Press, who released the book and 2 related pulp and popular fiction histories, Girl Gangs, Biker Boys, and Real Cool, Pulp Fiction and Youth Culture, 1950 to 1980, and Sticking It to the Man, Revolution and Counterculture in Pulp and Popular Fiction, 1950 to 1980. Secondly, the wonderful Brian Lang, who worked on the design and the layout of the book. And thirdly, all our contributors who to a person penned terrific, insightful essays. And I will say there's a significant number of Australian contributors to this book. So he would just like to thank you all so very much. And I'm very delighted to accept this award on his behalf.
And that leaves us with only one more category, which is the final thank yous. Paula.
There's so many people to thank that I needed 8 arms for it. Okay, so first of all, thank you all for being here because it's been a challenging few months to get this together face to face, but seeing you all here and hearing your stories, it's just made it all worthwhile, and that's been absolutely brilliant. I particularly want to thank those who actually worked to make today happen, especially Nicole Murphy. She's and Nathan Phillips, our wonderful technician. who is also the president of the CSFG for at least one more day. Dave Versace, who I would call him, he's technically the treasurer, but he's all round Mr. Fix-It. If something needed doing, Dave would say, oh, I'll get that. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Okay. There are other people, obviously, that help that I don't want to go on for too long because I'm sure the bar is desperate to see you. All the presenters at this afternoon's development afternoon and also this evening, and the panelists from this afternoon as well, having an actual mini event here, as well as the presentation of the awards, I think has made it extra special for our first face-to-face in a while. And so thank you everybody who participated in that, which is about half of you, so that's fantastic. Okay. So this is in no order of priority, by the way. So the coordinators of the Aurealis Awards themselves, who could not want to thank them, Goddesses Tahani Croft and Goddess Joanne Anderton. And I have to say, thank goodness they're not all here, all the judges, because there were a heck of a lot of them, and we wouldn't have even broken even if all the judges had turned up. but they spend many, many hours reading, making notes, assigning scores, debating the shortlist, then debating the winner. And I'm sure it's an absolute delight for them to give up their spare hours. But yeah, we thank them for their efforts because they really don't get much thanks. I also want to thank all the writers, not just the ones who were nominated and who won, but all writers, because if nobody wrote anything, there wouldn't be any awards for us to come and meet for. So, you know, everybody who's actually sat down and never written anything, good on you, especially, of course, the speculative fiction writers. And it goes without saying their families, because without our own friends, without those support, we couldn't do what we do. You know, we wouldn't be writers without a team behind us, whether it be friends or family or publishers or editors and all the rest of them. So thank you for the SpecFic wider community and the writing community for that peer support, for saying, yeah, that stinks, rewrite it, or kill that darling. Yeah, we thank you for that. Yes. The publishing industry, and by that I include those who self-publish, because it used to be a very brave thing to do. I think it's still a very brave thing to do. I think even submitting a work to a traditional publisher is a brave thing to do. So for everybody who in the industry, whether it's self or not, well done. Thank you to Colin Steele, who presented last, but without him, we wouldn't have made it into the Canberra Times. Woohoo! Because not only did he try and get us an article, but they came back and said, oh no, you're far too niche, nobody will be interested. But he persevered, and I got an interview, and we got in. So that was great. So thank you, Colin. Yes. And I apologise if I've forgotten anybody, but this is going to be not the last, because, you know, but certainly the last I'm going to say tonight. Thank you to Craig, our wonderful MC.
Thank you, Paula. So with that, we'll hit our last slide and one more. Yes. It brings us to the end of our ceremony. I think there's time for one last word of wisdom. I think there's still one down here in the hat of wisdom. It says, how many writers does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is, fuck you, I'm not changing anything. So with that, please, anyone who got shortlisted to get an award, come and get their medal. And I think there'll still be some medals left over for those who just really want one at the end of the night. So thank you. Good night. Time to hit the bar. Thank you.
You don't get to leave yet. Wait, stop. Everybody stop. This is my teacher voice, just so you know. They forgot to give me some time, but that's okay. I want to thank Craig because nobody's here properly. But I also need to thank Joanne, because if Joanne hadn't been answering everybody's emails, this would not be happening tonight. So thank you, Joe. I get lots of, people know who I am, but Joanne has been the one answering a lot of emails behind the scenes in the last 12 months. So thank you, Joe. I also need to thank CSFG for, giving us a home. We need an overseeing body, and the Canberra Speculative Fiction Guild has been the ones to take us on this time. Hopefully we're here for a little while. It's exciting. So thank you, Nathan and Paula and everybody who's been involved in that. I also need to thank Dirk Strasser and Chimera Publications, because the Aurealis Awards exist because of Dirk and the people involved there. And he was the one, he gave us a little bit of, we had a bit of a transition period between Confound, and thank you to the Melbourne people who were our overlords before we came to CSFG. So we needed to say thank you to them as well. Mainly, I wanted to say there's a whole bunch of people here that we haven't seen each other in a really long time. So please stay. We've booked some space downstairs for like 40. But you know what? Let's just go downstairs and see what happens, and have some food and some drinks and see what happens for the rest of the night. So thank you, everybody. Lovely to see you. Oh, and Kat wants to say a thing about Club, so hold on.
One more thing. End of September, early October, we're having a face-to-face science fiction convention, the National Science Fiction Convention. If anyone who's never heard of such a thing before, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, please come up, I'll give you a flyer. It's like this, and it goes for more days, and it's so much fun. I would love to see some new people there. So thank you.